The next morning, Obinna returned to Chief Okeke's house. His face was pale from lack of sleep, and his heart was heavy with the words of the false Adanna echoing in his mind. Adanna came out to meet him, her smile faint but filled with relief. Obinna, you came back. After everything that happened yesterday, he took her hands gently. Adanna, there is something I must ask you. Please, do not be angry. Just tell me the truth. She looked at him curiously. What truth? Obinna's voice dropped low, almost like a whisper. What happened 5 years ago at the river? At once, Adanna's face changed. The color drained from her cheeks, and her eyes widened in shock. She pulled her hands away and shook her head. 5 years ago? River? I don't know what you're talking about. Obinna pressed on, his heart pounding. Adanna, please. I met someone last night on the bush path. She looked exactly like you. She told me you are hiding something, that you are not as innocent as I think. She said you killed. Adanna's breast cut. For a moment, tears welled in her eyes, but she quickly wiped them away and stood tall. Her voice trembled, but it was firm. No, Obinna, do not listen to them. My enemies are everywhere. They do not want me to have joy. They do not want me to marry. That is why they spread lies and send evil spirits to torment me. She placed her hand on her chest. I swear by the gods of our land, I have never killed anyone. I am innocent. The spirits are fighting me because of jealousy and hatred. Obinna stared at her, torn between love and doubt. He wanted to believe her so badly, but the memory of the false Adanna's words still haunted him. Finally, he sighed and nodded. If you say so, Adanna, I will believe you. But if there is anything you are hiding, one day it will come to light. Adanna burst into tears and threw herself into his arms. Obinna, please don't leave me. You are all I have. Obinna held her close, his heart torn. He whispered, I will not leave you. And somewhere in the shadows, unseen by both of them, the fake Adanna watched with a cold smile, whispering to herself, soon, boy, very soon, you will know the truth. That night, after Obinna left, Adanna lay restless on her mat. Sleep would not come easily. Her mind kept running in circles. Obinna's questions, the villagers' whispers, the shame that followed her everywhere. Finally, her eyes grew heavy, and she drifted into a deep, troubled sleep. In the night, the sky turned red, and the wind howled like 1,000 crying children. Adanna found herself standing at the edge of the river, the same river she had not dared to visit for years. The water was dark, yet glowing with an eerie light. Then, from the center of the river, a figure rose slowly. It was her, but not her. The same face, the same eyes, but filled with a fire that made Adanna's heart tremble. The fake Adanna walked across the water, as if it were solid ground, her steps echoing like thunder. The voice was soft but sharp, cutting through the air like a blade. Do you think you can run forever? Adanna shook her head trembling. Leave me alone. You are not real. You are just a spirit sent to destroy me. The fake Adanna smiled, but it was not a kind smile. I am more real than you want to admit. You can pretend before your parents. You can lie to the villagers. You can even deceive Obinna, but you cannot hide from yourself, and you cannot hide from the gods. Adanna covered her ears and cried out, No, I am innocent. They are lies. The fake Adanna came closer, her reflection merging with the dark waters. Innocent? Then why does your heart tremble every time you hear the word river? Why do you see the face of a child, whenever you close your eyes. Adana fell to her knees, weeping bitterly. Stop! Please stop! But the spirit knelt beside her, whispering in her ear, Confess, Adana, confess. Confess your sin and be free, or remain in chains until the gods themselves drag the truth from your lips. With that, the river rose high like a giant wave and swallowed Adana whole. She screamed and jolted awake, her body covered in sweat, her chest rising and falling fast. The night was silent, but her heart was not. She crawled into herself and whispered, trembling, Confess or be free? What if Obinna finds out? What if the whole village finds out? And from far away, carried by the night wind, she thought she heard laughter, the laughter of the fake Adana, echoing in her ears. The morning after the dreadful dream, Adana's cry pierced through the compound like the wail of a wounded animal. Her mother rushed out of the kitchen. Her father dropped his staff, and together they ran to her hut. What they saw made their hearts sink. Adana's smooth skin was covered with large balls, oozing with pus. Her body gave off a stench so foul that even flies buzzed around her like bees around honey. She scratched herself widely, her fingernails tearing at her own flesh. But the more she scratched, the more the boys multiplied. Mama, Papa, help me, she screamed, writhing on the ground. It burns like fire. Her mother wept bitterly. My child, what has happened to you? Who has done this evil? But then, as Adana twisted in pain, a voice whispered in her ear, low, cold, and familiar. Confess and be free. Her eyes widened, and she screamed louder than before. No, I will not confess. I am innocent. She trashed like one possessed, her voice echoing across the village. The villagers began to gather at the compound, murmuring among themselves, What sickness is this? Could it be the wrath of the gods? Or is she under witchcraft? Day after day, the same thing continued. Sometimes Adana would sit quietly, weeping, but then the whisper would return, confess and be free. Instantly, she would claw at her balls, shaking her head and shouting, I will not confess. Her parents tried everything, herbal mixtures, sacrifices, even bathing her in river water. But nothing worked. The stench grew worse, and her screams at night kept the whole compound awake. Finally, when her fits grew violent, Chief Okeke gave a heavy sigh. If we do not chain her, she will destroy herself. And so, with trembling hands, they bound their only daughter to the great tree in the center of the compound. Her wrists were tied with strong ropes, and her ankles fastened so she would not run into the bush. There, she sat day and night, her body swollen with boils, her cries echoing like the cries of the tormented. Whenever the spirit whispered, Confess and be free, the people could hear Adana's reply, I will not confess. And the villagers shook their heads, whispering to one another, Surely the gods are fighting her. Surely there is a secret hidden in her heart. When Obinna heard that Adana had been chained to the great tree, his heart burned with sorrow. The villagers warned him, Stay away, young man. This sickness is not ordinary. It is the hand of the gods. But love gave him courage. One evening, as the moon rose and the crickets sang, he walked into the compound, where Adana sat chained, her body swollen with balls, her breath heavy, her eyes red from tears. My beloved, Obinna whispered, kneeling before her. He could barely stand the stench, but he stayed. What have the gods against you? What crime did you commit that they fight you so? Adana shook her head weakly, tears running down her cheeks. Obinna, I cannot say it. Please, leave me, forget me. But Obinna took her trembling hands into his and pleaded, Adana, the spirit came to me. She warned me. She told me you are hiding something. She said, you must confess to be free. Tell me, what happened? What sin is this? Still, she shook her head. No, I cannot speak. My tongue is sealed. Obina's heart grew heavier. After hours of pleading, he stood and called for her parents. Mama, Papa, come, let's reason together. Her parents came with weary faces, their eyes swollen from sleepless nights. Obina told them everything. The night he met the fake Adana in the bush, the warning she gave him, the spirit that haunted their daughter, and the spirit's words, confess and be free. Her father's knees grew weak, and he sat on the ground, burying his face in his hands. Adana, my child, is this true? The gods do not lie. Tell us what you have done. Speak, so that this curse may end. Her mother fell to her knees, weeping bitterly. She clutched Adana's legs, despite the balls. My only daughter, do not die with this secret. Whatever it is, your father and I will bear it with you. Speak, my child. But Adana only shook her head. Her eyes welled with pain. No, I cannot confess. I will rather die with the secret than let it escape my lips. The compound grew silent, except for her mother's sobs. Even the night insects seemed to hold their breaths. The villagers who stood nearby, watching, whispered among themselves, what kind of sin is too heavy for a child to confess to her parents? Surely it must be a crime that cries to the heavens. Obinna, his voice breaking, whispered one last time, Adana, if you truly love me, speak the truth, free yourself. But Adana turned her face away and repeated the same words over and over. I will not confess. I will not confess. And so, the burden of her silence grew heavier, and the gods tightened their grip upon her life. That evening, the air in the village was heavy with anger. The village youths, led by strong young men with fiery eyes, gathered with sticks, cutlasses, and torches. Their voices roared like thunder as they marched straight to Chief Okeke's compound, where Adana lay chained. We will not sleep tonight until the truth is known, one shouted. Yes, if she does not confess, let her die, for the gods have rejected her, another cried. They stormed into the compound, their feet shaking the ground. Women and children ran to hide in fear. The youths raised their weapons high, shouting, Adana, speak or perish. Tell us what abomination you committed. The whole compound was in chaos. Adana's mother clung to her father, wailing. Obinna, who was standing close to where Adana was chained, quickly stepped forward, raising his hands in peace. My brothers, my sisters, Obinna cried out, put down your weapons. Violence will not bring the truth. Let me speak to her, just once more. The youths hesitated. They trusted Obinna, for he was known to be a man of calm spirit. Slowly, the noise died down, though their eyes still burned with suspicion. Obinna knelt beside Adana, who was trembling like a trapped bird. He spoke in a gentle voice that only love can carry. My Adana, listen to me. Forget these voices. Forget their anger. Forget the shame. Whatever it is, whatever you did, it cannot change the way I feel about you. Her eyes filled with tears as he wiped the sweat from her brow. I will love you even more, he continued. I will protect you. When all this is over, I will marry you. I will take you to the city where no one will mock you again. You will not carry this guilt alone, for I will carry it with you. Adana's chest rose and fell in pain, but for the first time her heart softened. Her lips trembled as the words fought their way out. Obinna, my love, she whispered, her voice breaking. I will confess, but not here, not before these angry eyes, not in this compound. She lifted her weak hand and pointed towards the distant pass. I will confess at the river. Yes, the river where it all began. Let the waters bear me witness. Only there will my mouth open. The youths murmured among themselves. The elders nodded in silence. Obinna held her hand tightly and whispered, Then, to the river we shall go. And so, under the watch of the entire village, Adana's confession was sealed for the next dawn, when the river would judge truth from lies. The whole village stood silent as the river boiled like a pot on fire. Mist rose higher, whirling into strange shapes. The spirit child who looked like Adana stepped closer, her bare feet not sinking into the water. She lifted her hand, and the river calmed. Then a voice came, not loud, but it shook the hearts of everyone present. It was the voice of the river goddess. Adana, daughter of the land, the goddess said, Your sin is heavy. You took an innocent life and buried it in my waters. You stained your hands with blood and deceived your people for 5 years. Do you think the earth forgets? Do you think the river sleeps? Adana, still kneeling on the ground, wept bitterly. Great mother of the river, forgive me. I was young and foolish. I was afraid. Spare my life, and I will serve you all my days. The goddess was silent for a long moment. The villagers trembled. Some feared lightning would strike. Others feared the ground would open. Then slowly, the voice returned. Because you have confessed, the river shall not swallow you. But forgiveness is not without pain. You must live to carry your shame, so that others will learn. The child you threw away shall remain with me, never to walk this earth again. You will never know the joy of motherhood, for the womb that bore death shall bear no more. A cry of shock rose from the people. Adana's mother fell on her knees, wailing. Her father covered his face in sorrow, but the goddess was not done. As for you, Obinna, the river goddess said, your love for her is true, but beware. If you choose to marry her, you marry her curse. Her sorrow will be your sorrow. Her pain will be your pain. Decide wisely. Obinna's face grew pale. He looked at Adana, who clung to his arm, weeping. Obinna, please, she cried. Do not leave me. You promised to stand by me. You promised to love me even with my sins. The goddess' voice echoed one last time. Choose, young man. The river has spoken. The water grew still. The spirit child vanished, and silence returned. Only the sound of crickets and the rustle of the wind filled the air. The villagers turned to Obinna, waiting to hear his decision. The villagers held their breath as Obinna stood in silence, his eyes fixed on Adana. She was shaking, her tears falling like rain, her hands clutching his arm as if her whole life depended on it. Obinna, whispered the elders, think well. Do not tie your life to sorrow. Obinna, whispered the elders, think well. Do not tie your life to sorrow. No man can fight against the gods. But Obinna's heart was steady. He turned and lifted Adana to her feet. His voice was strong but gentle. I have heard the goddess. I have heard the curse. But my heart knows its own path. Adana, I will not abandon you. If your life is sorrow, then let me share it. If your burden is heavy, Let me carry it with you. You will not face this shame alone. I choose you, curse or no curse." A gasp rose from the crowd. Adana fell into his chest weeping. The villagers shook their heads, some pitying him, some calling him foolish. Then suddenly, the river stirred. A soft light rose from the water, brighter and brighter, until it covered the whole riverbank. The voice of the goddess returned. But now it was warm, not fierce. "Obinna, your love is pure, your heart fearless. Such love is rare among men. Because you did not run, because you chose to stand, the curse shall break." The people fell on their knees, their eyes wide. Adana's chains fell off by themselves. The sores and burrs on her body dried up and disappeared. The foul smell that clung to her skin vanished like smoke in the wind. Her face shone again, more beautiful than ever. The goddess spoke again. "Love that is true has the power to heal even the deepest wound. But let this be a warning to all. Sins may be forgiven, but they cannot be hidden. Confession brings freedom, but only love brings restoration." The lights faded, the river calmed, and all was still again. The villagers shouted for joy. Some cried, others sang praises to the goddess. Adana knelt by the river whispering, "Thank you, great mother. Thank you." Obinna held her hand, smiling through his tears. For the first time in many years, hope filled their hearts. The news spread like wildfire, from one hut to another, from the farms to the market square. Everyone whispered, "The curse is broken. Adana is free." Days later, the talking drums beat across the village. Children danced in circles. Women tied their brightest wrappers, and men carried palm wine on their shoulders. The great feast had come, Adana's wedding. Obinna stood proudly at the center of the compound, his eyes searching for his bride. Then Adana appeared, walking gently, with her mother and father by her side. Her skin glowed like the morning sun, her steps light as if all the years of pain had been washed away in the river. The villagers who once mocked her now cheered and clapped. Chief Okeke raised his staff and declared, "Today, the gods have shown us that love is stronger than shame, stronger than curses, stronger than death itself. Let us rejoice, for our daughter has been restored." The drums thundered, the flutes sang, and the dancers stamped their feet in rhythm. Goats were slaughtered, calabashes of palm wine were shared, and the people feasted till the moon rose high. When Adana and Obinna held hands before the crowd, she whispered, her voice trembling with joy, "Obinna, you gave me back my life when no one believed me. You stood by me when the whole world mocked me. You chose me. May the gods bless you." Obinna smiled, lifting her hand, "And may the gods bless us both. For today begins our true story." The people shouted in one voice, "May love reign forever." From that day, Adana's name was no longer a song of shame, but a proverb of hope. Mothers told their children, "Do not hide your sins, for hidden sins bring sorrow. But remember also, love that is true can heal even the deepest wound." And so, the tale of Adana and Obinna lived on, carried by the winds, told by the fireside, a reminder to every heart that love, pure and fearless, has the power to break even the strongest curse. Here's the moral of the story. Never let shame or guilt make you commit an abortion or throw a baby away, because no matter how long it takes, lies and hidden sins will always come to light. If only Adana had the courage to face her shame, she wouldn't have found herself in that terrible situation. Secondly, if you love someone, show it, not by words alone, but by action. If Obinna had not stood by Adanna, the curse would not have been lifted, and she would have remained barren for life. In all, we should learn to speak the truth at all times, for it shall set us free. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What did this story teach you? Please drop your thoughts in the comments section. I enjoy reading every single one of them. There's another very interesting story coming your way in just a few days. So, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and turn on your notification bell so you'll be the first to know when it drops. If you enjoyed the story, please hit the like button and share it with your friends. Someone out there may need to hear this. Thank you so much for watching to the end. See you in the next story.